Okay. So here we are for the live code review demo. I'm going to go through the pull request first and then the actual code. So this is the GitHub repo for women who code San Francisco Backend study group. We put all our code and presentations here. And for this session, I've created a code review demo, a PR, where you can see I have definitely not followed best practices. So want to make that obvious that what I preach is not what I followed. I'm kidding. So yeah, this is an example of a pull request. If you get a pull request like this, what are some of the things you can point out, right? Like this is the GitHub pull request page. We look at the commit and the diff, but are some of the things that you are super obvious that are missing here? Can you point out? Feel free to comment or just speak up.
Maria says the PR description.
PR description is not there. The title of the PR is also code review demo. Like, but what is a demo? Like, what code review? Like, yeah, there is something missing there. It's not even like, okay, code review demo, 3 different words, right? So yeah, you will also not see reviewers. I have not added anyone. I created a pull request and nobody's reviewing it. Okay. Usually you have a hook with some kind of Jenkins build job or something like that that runs all your tests. And if the tests fail, you will not see this green button. You will actually see this disabled. So you can't merge a pull request. Here, this repo is not set up like that. But ideally, till I get at least 1 or 2 reviewers approved, I cannot even merge my pull request. So if someone has disapproved my pull request, it will be open till they actually go and approve my request. So that's something that's missing. Description is missing. Sometimes developers, what they do is they will work on a big feature and they'll commit every change they are making. So when you open the pull request, you'll see like 50 commits here. You know, and that is fine, but that's a lot to follow up when you as a reviewer, you open a pull request and you're just scrolling down and there are 50 commits that they have made. One other thing is when they merge, you would rather squash and merge. So all your 50 commits are squashed to 1 commit, and that name of your commit will be implemented so-and-so feature and added so-and-so tests, right? Rather than 50 commits, because if you go to your version control history, you will not see 50 commits for that change. You will see 1 commit for that entire 1 change in this pull request that you have merged. So something to keep in mind. If there is a conflict, I'm trying to merge to main branch here, and let's say Elaine pushed something in the meantime to the main branch, and she pushed the change to the same files that I have updated. Then I would have to rebase and merge my rebase my commit to make sure that my files have her changes in it, and then I have added my new changes. So some other things to keep in mind. Very basic. Here you can see your commits. Here you can see all the files change. So right now I just have 1 commit. If I had 30 commits, you would see all of them. And then per commit, you can see what exactly the change I have been making. So this really helps in, like, if you go, let's say if you comment certain code and then deploy on a test environment and test it, and then you uncomment it and test it. So you can do a before and after between those 2 commits and see what you changed, right? So this helps in like creating test branches and putting small commits to, you know, test specific things in between commits. Here is a list of all the file changes, right? So like I have added like, here I think I have added just 1 file. We'll go through this in the ID as well, because yeah. What are some of the things here that are not looking good? Like this is the code you're reviewing as a reviewer. What are some of the things that are like, you can just point it out. I know if you're not familiar with Java, don't worry about it. I have added some code, some comments here and there, but based on what we discussed, right? What are some of the things that are like super obvious that you can point out here? Like what comment would you add as a reviewer? And what are some of the things you would recommend to change? Password should not be there. Definitely. Big security risk. I have a variable named password, and then I'm actually putting the whole password there. So definitely bad. I've not even mastered it. Ideally, password should not be in your code. It should be some other system which is very masked and stored and secure behind a bunch of different things. So that's definitely bad. If this is Java, so I should add an access modifier so I can actually access this variable in my methods. So that's not there. My class, I'm adding a comment, which I'm going to do it later. Like, this is not good. Either add a comment explaining what this class is doing, or no comment is good enough, because the name of the class is, in this example, self-explanatory. So I don't necessarily need a comment here to explain what I'm doing in this class, right? So I should not be having such comments. They are not helping anyone, right? This class doesn't have a constructor. And I'm saying, okay, I'm going to add it later. There is no to-do comment. There is no ticket around it. There is no timeline around like when I'm going to do that. I have not explained why this is commented and when will I uncomment it. So there is no explanation whatsoever. If you read my code, you'll be like, why is this committed in a proper branch? Why am I seeing this code? If the code has comments that are not useful, like just delete the commented code, or keep the code and mark it as deprecated if that's something that you want to keep, right? Like, why keep commented code which is not used? Just delete it, right? Things like that. Here I'm just checking. This is the example of libraries. I'm checking password for null, password for empty. I'm doing certain things. So in this case, either fields matter, but I can use libraries, which string util libraries or something like that, which just check for certain values, and it's easy to read, right? You can use libraries. Here I have if, maybe an anti-pattern. Maybe in this example, it's just 3 ifs. Maybe I could have used a switch case or something like that. I don't know, right? In this case, no switch case, but because you're checking for the password. But if you're checking for status, rather than using if, you could have used a switch case, right? So
we've got a request to make the text a little larger.
Oh.
I think we're in browser, so we should be able to. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I didn't read that. Sorry about that. Yeah, right. So rather than if else if, can you use the switch statement? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, can you optimize your code? Can this be in a separate method which says set password, and all that does is set enrollment status. All you do is in that method give in a password and give in a student object, and all that method will do is do all these checks for you and return a student object with the correct enrollment status set, right? This way your method is not 20 lines, let's say. This is a separate method and it can be tested separately, right, in your unit tests, things like that. Here I'm doing a try catch, but I'm in the catch, I'm not doing anything, right? So am I supposed to catch an exception and do something with it, logging, returning a different value? If I'm not doing anything with the exception, then I would argue, do I even need a try catch? Because the exception might want to bubble up, or does it, right? So like, this is really bad. Like, there is no, we're not doing anything with we are returning a null. Do we even want to return a null? Would you want to return a better object? Do we want to log a scenario? Nothing is explained. Why is this not? Like, there is no explanation, and it's really bad. Certain things around formatting. You see, the formatting is not super neat. This could have been on one line. This could have been on the other line. So formatting is not easy to read. Here I'm saying do not update unless the status changes. But like, when will the status change? Unless the status changes on so and so. There is no explanation of like when the status changes. What am I supposed to do with this comment? I don't understand it. Right now, delete student. It's such a vague comment. Like in this method, I'm doing, it's such a big method. It's from line 78 to 104, right? It's almost 30 lines. Like, would delete student be a separate method here, right? Which I could have called. Why did I not call this method and write the exact same code here? So these are like some of the things that, like, it's really bad. Like, you should, like, these are some things you should totally be able to write good code, and reviewers will point out. I would like actually look at all this proper implementation later on. First, I would be like, can you clean your code so I can do a good review? Can I spend good amount of time doing your review? Because this bracket here, this comments here, they are super distracting. This is bad code, right? You're returning nulls. You're not doing with the much with the exception. You're not logging. Where is monitoring? Would we want to save passwords here, or we would want to save passwords on a different system? If yes, then your code needs to make sure that the integration happens to get the password in real time, right? And what are you doing with the password? Is there any other way we would want to set enrollment status? What is the business logic here? Why on password am I setting enrollment status, right? Can you explain me why that is the case? Is there some documentation around it? If I run this, the code will fail because I don't have the constructor for Java class. So like I can't even run this. I mean, there's a default constructor, but like this code, if I add tests and stuff, this code will fail. So really bad practice around like how this code is written, and the code review around it would be super disaster. I've added to-do comments for test coverage. Adding a to-do comment is good, but why is adding test coverage a comment here? It should be a separate class where I'm adding tests, and that's where I'll added 5 tests, 3 more tests need to be added, right? So things like that. This is a good example of a bad pull request and a code review process that is not efficient. One other example I can give is here for this presentation that I'm sharing. Because I have permissions for this repo, I just pushed that presentation directly to merge to like main branch. I didn't even create a pull request, right? Like I didn't even create a pull request for Elaine or some other people who are, custodians for this repo to actually approve this change I'm making. I directly committed my, push my change to the main branch. There's no pull request. Bad, never put your code directly to main or master branch, right? I did that just as an example of things you should not do. One line change, create a PR. It's okay. No problem. You're fixing a typo, fine, create a PR. Don't push it. Never merge directly to your main or master branch. It's bad practice because like people can slip in code, and usually I will not go and check the repo and see all the changes coming in. I will only know the changes coming in from a code request, right? So I can safely assume that any change to the repo is coming from a pull request only. It's not going directly to main or master branch from someone else. Now this change I made because none of the people were notified, the custodians of this repo, about a pull request. This change, they would not even know if it happened unless they go and check the whole history, and they'll be like, oh, Prachi pushed a change, she didn't even create a PR. Like, what did she push? Did this break something? We don't know how to track. Who is accountable, right? So things like that. So really important to write good code, of course, but really important to be good code reviewers, bring in a good culture for reviews, make sure you are the ones propagating best practices. Yes, we don't have to follow all the 10 best practices out there, but 3 of them are foundational. For the other 7, we are flexible. We may want to be open-minded. We want to do things differently. So doing a code review is a very important process, and we should only get better at it. I think that's all for the demo, Elaine. We can stop the recording.